late December and early January, I always start to get a little nostalgic about when I went and picked up my red 10th anniversary '03 Cobra. It was a really fun trip to California. It was a little stressful, of course, getting the car and making sure everything worked out, but it's a time of year that I really like to think back, and every time this time of year comes around, I kind of get these feelings of what it was like traveling and the temperatures outside, the way the sun is. A lot of things remind me of that trip. And my wife told me that she needed to go to Southern California for a thing for her work, and we needed to be there for a few days. And I didn't really want to go all the way to California again for that. It is about 6 hours driving, more with kids and everything. But I thought, you know what, I can try to make the best of this and we'll have some fun. And I've been kind of wanting to go to California, go on the freeway, go out that way where I got my car this time of year and just reminisce a little bit. So I thought I'll make the best of it. We'll go on the trip. Obviously, I wouldn't be bringing the Cobra this time because, or any of the Mustangs, because we'll be taking the whole family. And I just thought this will be kind of nice because it's like going on the trip to get my Cobra, only I will know that everything has worked out and the car is home safe, so I don't have to worry about any of that. So I can just try to enjoy a nice road trip in the same place I went to get my Cobra, roughly. So we're going to Southern California. I bought the car in Laguna Hills, which is in the LA area, but we were going to San Diego. So I thought, okay, we'll have some fun. So first we got on the road and we went to Baker, and we stopped to eat here in Baker, and I really liked how quiet and desolate it was here. There's the Tahoe taking us, and I just liked how the parking lot was, you know, kind of rough, and you saw the trucks and things coming in and out, but there was really nobody around. In Baker, California, they have this ginormous thermometer, and there it is, almost 60 degrees, which is funny because when we come by, a lot of times it's like 113 degrees. So I thought that was kind of interesting to see that thermometer so low. But here we are traveling through the desert. It really is beautiful. There is a lot of really nice scenery. And one place I wanted to stop, and I had to get on Google Maps and look at pictures and figure out where it was. It turned out to be exit 157, so I'll show you that in just a second here. But look at the beautiful scenery as you go through this area of California, and the landscape changes a lot, and there's a lot of up and down hills and big drop downs. Here's all the Hummers. Look at how many Hummers there are. I believe those are all surplus military. But we got into Barstow, and after Barstow was Victorville, and just before Victorville was an off-ramp that I got off with my Cobra when we were bringing it home. We just had to stop there for a second, and this was the place. I found it. See that big crack in the cement there? You'll see that in a second. I'm going to show the pictures of when I brought my Cobra home, but this was the place. You can see the mountain there with cell towers on top. This was a really cool place because I've been looking at these pictures for years now. These are the pictures. See, there's the crack in the asphalt behind the car, and if you look at that mountain, there are cell phone towers on top and things. And this was just a little off-ramp that we decided to get off when we were driving home, and we needed to stop with the kids for a minute. And so we pulled off here, and I got out and took pictures of the cars. And over the years, I've been looking at these pictures and remembering this nice desert highway and the fun that I had there. So I've been wanting to go back there for some time now, and I didn't really even know where it was, but I was able to get on Google Maps and look at off-ramps in the street mode, and I found out exactly where it was. And so I've been really wanting to go back there for some reason. So I made the exit, and we got off and went ahead and went here. And I got out and walked around for a second and stood right there where the car was, as you saw in the other video. But like I said, I just like looking at these pictures of when I brought the car home and how exciting that was, and I've kind of wanted to go back there, but there's really no reason to travel several hours just to go to this intersection. And so I decided that if we go to California on this trip, we'll stop there and I'll be able to get out and reminisce for a minute and just enjoy being here. And that was really fun. I enjoyed doing that. And we were trying to make good time, and the traffic can get really bad at night. Just like when I got this car, it was really crammed, like 20 miles an hour each way for several hours, and so we wanted to beat the traffic, so I didn't stay around there very long. And when you're traveling, it is hard to get off the freeway for a minute when you know you're wasting time, but I just wanted to make sure to do that, and I enjoyed doing that. So I stayed there for a minute or two, and then we got on our way. But this is the big hill that drops down after Victorville, and it is a very, very big descent. I talk about this in my video of going to get my red 10th anniversary Cobra, and this is down towards San Bernardino, and just a very, very deep valley. You can see how the other highway is down there. There's lots of other trucks and things driving down the freeway, and you can just see this gradual descent that goes very far down into the valleys. So I just thought that was pretty cool, and I didn't really get a lot of footage of this when I was going to get my red Cobra, but I do remember it a lot. And I also took this route when I went to go get my yellow Mach 1 as well, so there were a lot of really good memories here. So you can see that the congestion is starting to get pretty crowded, and there's lots of cars everywhere, and it's kind of like a gray, dull, dingy feeling, you know, the smog and everything and all the traffic. And here the other side of the freeway is all backed up, and it just makes me appreciate and miss where I'm from, all the nice open roads where I have a lot of space to myself and nice new roads to drive the cars on without a lot of congestion. I just really appreciate where I live, and California is beautiful as well, but I just love where I am and having the ability to drive my cars without worrying about someone crashing into me all the time. But here came a GT500 carbon fiber track pack. That was cool to see. He was just cruising by. I could see him coming up in the rearview mirror. And we got to San Diego, and we went to the temple for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it was just a beautiful place to stop and feel some peace and relax and enjoy, especially after being on the road for so long. But I was able to go through the open house for this temple when I was little. It was completed in 92 or 93, I think. And I haven't been back to go in with my wife yet because it's so far away, but it's just a nice place to go. I was actually born in San Diego, so I didn't remember any of this, and we had moved to Utah when I was like 18 months old, so I don't remember any of California, but it is cool to go there. And something else I like about California is this In-N-Out poster. I did go to In-N-Out, even though we have one here, and this same poster is in the In-N-Out here in Utah. But I really like it because it has this iconic picture of a Shelby GT350 and other muscle cars there at In-N-Out in Southern California. So I was so happy to go in there and eat and then see this poster that I love so much. It's one of my favorite ones I've ever seen at any In-N-Out, and just get that whole Southern California culture and just enjoy being there. So the next day my wife went to her conference, and I took the little boys and we went to this really awesome model railroad train museum. And it was at Balboa Park. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but anyway, it looks like a castle. It's a very nice attraction, very neat place, and you would have no idea that there is a huge model train museum in the bottom of this place down in the basement. So I really enjoyed going there, and I thought I'd share some of the really cool things I saw there. So it's real difficult to catch this all at once and take it all in. There's so much detail, but there are really cool mountain ranges and little towns and gas stations all around. And some of them are a little bit farther off, so you can't see them as well. I'm zoomed in here, but you can see a little airport here. I believe this was Lindbergh Field replica. There's Pacific Southwest airplane, and that's actually kind of funny because that's the plane that my grandpa had flown in World War II, the DC-3, but it was a C-47 in World War II, and my dad actually worked for that airline, so really cool to see that little piece of history. But as you look closely, there's so much detail, little fences and cars and people and trains and buses with working lights, and there's a Porsche model in the top right. I had that same pullback car when I was little. Little town front and stores, so much detail. Little Harley-Davidson motorcycle dealership with bikes inside and people sitting at desks, and just such a really awesome little detailed thing. There's a Trans Am and a Mustang and Ford billboards and a fire station with working fire engine lights and cars parked everywhere. And I think this is even a model of where we were there, that building. And here's a 70s Camaro sitting there in the middle. I had to zoom in on that. I thought that was really cool to see. I really like the detail like that. I would love to put my model cars in here. But here comes some of the trains. And I think this was like a little malt shop or a little soda place. And there's cars in the parking lot and, you know, hot rods and people hanging out. And these little buildings with parking lots full of cars, and you could just see so much detail. I really appreciated all this. Little truck driving down a frontage road and a semi truck, and that bridge must have taken forever, and the trains go through that bridge. And here's just a ton of rail area and a bunch of cars that are coming off the train, brand new cars from transport, and a little warehouse, and there's like forklifts and pallets and little pipe racks, and the roof was so detailed with little vents and everything, and ladders and people, and it looks like just a bunch of little cities that you would see with trains going through them. And I just love how much detail there is. You have to walk through here several times to catch it all, and you won't even catch it all that way. You're always going to see something new when you look through, like little blinking lights on that building, and the different vehicles, and it's just so cool to see. I love all the trucks in that place backed up to the doors, and I'm glad I took a video of this. Here's two guys racing next to the rail tracks, and there you got a bunch of car people there, and a green T-Bird and a 55 red Chevy with a white top, and a little general store there, and just depicted of what it would be like back in the 50s. A lot of this was like the 50s, and here comes a Union Pacific train coming through here, and they have it all detailed with it being kind of dirty like it really would look. And we waited forever for the train to come through this tunnel, and it finally came out, and here it comes right in front of us, and you can see all the mountain ranges they've made, and the bridges, and the little places like this little church here in the foreground that you'll see a little more of. And there were even people inside the other little churches that I saw, but here's like a gathering there, and the old vehicles, and trees, and old farm truck there, and a patio with things, just so much detail. And I love models. I think a lot of people like models for this reason. It's like recreating a scene there, and it just looks so cool. And there's a couple cars inside of a box car, and this other side wasn't finished yet, but you could see they were working on this other side here. And this was an actual rail stop, and it showed how it works. It's really cool to see how the sign works. You push the button here, and the chain would operate, and I think those are hydraulics in there, and there's wires, and it's all electrically done correctly to make it work. And just to think of what it actually takes to drop one of those signs for a train to come and have it be reliable is really interesting. I think there's a lot of stuff like that we take for granted in life, but it was just so cool to see all this mechanism, and they had that there for you to enjoy and appreciate. And so really cool to see how that all worked. And I just think about how many of these there are around the country, and how they all had to work right. And if they didn't work right, it could be dangerous for people. And this is what people's careers were about, and jobs, on making that all work right and be set up. So here's a little highway, like the Fram billboard, and you see semi trucks, and I think a pink Cadillac going down the road there, and some farm country here. And here is the depiction of a truck that rolled over that was carrying chickens, and there are chickens running everywhere. There are people trying to catch them. There were even coyotes running off with a chicken in their mouth, and the mountain ranges there, and the bridges. We'll get into that. Here's a drive-in movie theater. Really cool. They had a real TV playing there, and you can see all the cars in there. And this is kind of a farm town. You see all the fields, and a tractor plowing the fields, and cars driving down the roads there, and so much detail into little buildings and silos and train cars that are backed up there. And then you get into this little area that had kind of a darker room, and this is like Mel's Cafe from American Graffiti. And this was kind of the larger scale trains, but they had these really cool setups like this, and some of them even said Lionel on them. But here's a shop, and they're working on a car there, and I think they really captured the lighting on this really well. There's a 57 Chevy, a blue one, and this is like a oil refinery or gas station center where they have trucks coming to get gasoline. And you could see a shop there, and they're working on this semi-truck, and they're welding. You can see the lights flashing as they're welding and working on this. and the big tanks here for Chevron and Shell gasoline. And I just think that was so cool to see, because this is like what you would really see in different places of the country, and it was so well done. Here's a Ford dealership with a yellow T-Bird in the center there on a turntable. And I thought that was really cool to see an actual Ford dealer, and this whole little city had a lot of neat things. You can see the McDonald's there, and the little sign there, and like I said, I think these were actual Lionel sets you could buy, where the cars would drive around there and the trains could go by. And there's Mater. You can see him towing a Greyhound station there, and just so many little buildings. There's a movie theater that says Gone with the Wind, and a pink Cadillac out in front, and people standing everywhere, trains going by, and just a full city. There's a fire in one of the buildings. Here's a drag race going on at the airport, and there were planes parked there at the airport, and it was really cool to see that, plus this little hangar and a little control tower, and just everything was depicted so well. There's an old Mercedes, the black one, just like the one my grandpa used to have. I thought that was pretty cool. And like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. You can take this picture and you can zoom into all these different little places and see a lot of detail of what they're doing here. And you're going to miss a lot of this just going there and looking. So like I said, I think that's cool that I was able to take some footage of all this so I can go back and watch it and see it with my kids. And they really like this, so it's really fun to see. One of my favorite things was how much detail there was, like the graffiti on these train cars and the containers on the train cars. They looked so real. Some of them they even added some patina and some rust to make them look like they were shipped overseas, and it's just really neat to see how much love and detail people have put into that. So here comes another train, and you can see it's made to look a little bit dirty. The engines are going through there, and just people on my Instagram were saying they thought this was real. I had posted this on my Instagram to show where I was and what I was doing, and people were really excited about that. And you can see how long this was too. I mean, there were probably well over 100 cars they were pulling. I really like this picture of this service station. It really caught what I think it would look like back then, the lighting and the Coca-Cola coolers out there in front, and it just made me want to go get a nice cold drink like that. There were banners that said travel refreshed, and they were all the old 50s ads, and I thought this really captured a nice night at a service station and what it would be like traveling and stopping and getting a drink somewhere. And so I made sure to go get a cold soda with the kids after this. But really neat to see. I love that Coca-Cola thing. Like I said, you can see the cases there of probably the empty bottles, and then the new cooler there that would have the cold drinks in it, and the gas pumps and the trash can, and the lighting of this was just so perfect. I don't know why, it just really looked correct. But here, this little refinery or whatever this place is looked so good and so detailed. I took some video and zoomed in. Look at all these little pipes and ladders and shed and things, and this would have taken so long to make. And I just thought that was very well detailed, and a lot of nice effort and time went into that, as well as this huge bridge. I mean, you can see a guy standing behind there. That bridge was twice as tall as what you can see in the footage there. And of course, this little gas station refinery, I don't know what to call it, but with all the pipes and all the tanks there and how it all works, and they've really done their homework to make it look all original and authentic and everything. And here comes a train, and I mean, so many cars parked there. You could stop and look at each one of them, and you know, so much going on. There's logs being cut there, and this little train car that's been turned into a diner. I thought that was really cool. I've been in places like that. There's one in Barstow with McDonald's, but I mean, I'm sure there's even nicer, more authentic ones. But buildings everywhere, fire department there. There's a fire in the building and everything. Well, so that was the end of the model train station, and I saw this GT when I was headed over there. It's an '04 torch red GT. It's sitting here with a flat tire, so I had to look at it on the way back, and the hood scoop's faded. The black leather looked pretty good. It's an automatic car. The side scoop was missing. I don't know if somebody stole it or if it broke. The back bumper had this little crinkle in it, and the bumpers were faded pink from sitting out so long. But I just thought, why is this GT sitting here? It's in front of a nice place. It hasn't been towed or anything. I don't know if its registration was up to date, but it was kind of sad to see it like that. And then I saw this Roush, and this had a lot of controversy on my Instagram. We were deciding whether this was a real Roush or not. To me, the windshield banner didn't look correct. The seats were convincing, but they were black leather, and the car had gray and two-tone interior. It had the side exhaust, but you can see some green on the side skirts, and there was some green showing through on the spoiler. So I think those parts had been added. But I had seen the car, and I knew it was going to come by, and I got some video of it driving. So I just stumbled across this car, and I was waiting for my wife, and I saw it coming down the road, so I recorded it. It actually looked like they were headed to lunch, so I knew they'd be coming back, and I had my camera ready when they came back. But there was a lot of controversy on my Instagram whether this was real or not. It didn't have the Roush gauge cluster. I didn't look for a number on the dash because I really wasn't that interested in looking in the windows too deeply. It's somebody else's car, and I probably should have done that at least. But so many people were debating with me whether this was real or not. And I didn't think it was real because, it was pretty beat up. It didn't have the Roush badges on the fenders or the back of it. It didn't have the gauge cluster, although some people told me that some of them did not come with the Roush gauge cluster. But the seats were convincing, like I said, but they didn't match the interior. And so for a lot of reasons, I just said, I think this is a clone, but some people got on there and they're like, how do you know it's not real? And they thought it was real, whatever. I didn't really care. I was just showing a really cool New Edge Mustang I had seen, just that I came across here in California, so I recorded it because I was at the train museum the day before, and this day I was just walking around and checking things out. And I told my wife I'd rather just go find a big parking lot and go look at cars all day, just see what Mustangs I can find. And so I did that the second day, and that's when I found the Roush. But anyway, here's a really cool bridge you can see on the highway. This is the 5, I think, just headed through San Diego. Took the kids on a carousel ride. We went down to the beach. That was really fun. And it was just something kind of iconic to do. There's the F-14 Tomcat. This is the USS Midway. I was able to go on a tour of this a few years ago. Really, really cool. There's an F-4 Phantom Tail up there too. I think there was an A7 or an A6 Intruder as well up there. But this was just a beautiful part of San Diego by the beach. We decided to go to the beach as well, so we crossed over this big bridge. We had been here before years ago, so just a different view than what I'm used to, and something cool to show all the kids and the family. We went to the beach, and that was really nice. But one of the coolest things about this beach was there were F-18s flying over, and they were landing, and their approach was right over the beach where we were. So I got some really cool footage of those F-18s coming in, and they were so close you could see the people inside them, and you could read the numbers on them. It was just really awesome. So they were also taking off nearby where my wife was on her conference, so we were able to enjoy hearing them there. But I'll put some footage of that in here too. But here's the F-18s. Man, I love the sound of those jets, but I didn't like the high gas prices in California. And I know some places are even higher than that, but anyway, headed back the other way. We got a nice pizza and went back to the hotel and stuff, and it was just really nice to see the ocean. You don't get to see it a whole lot, or maybe where you are you do, but I don't. So just kind of fun to visit, but more fun to visit than really anything else. But this is Temecula. That's where my friend with the blue Terminator's from. I had to take a picture of that going through. Obviously, this was over a few days. This wasn't all the same day, but then stopped in Barstow, saw this really cool train, and there was a tank there that you could go play on and check out. But the Tahoe was running great. If you've seen my update video, I just put a new radiator and everything in it, so I knew that it was going to be up to the job, and it did phenomenal. 236,000 miles on it. Anyway, I love the California desert. Sometimes I don't want to get off the freeway and look around or anything. I just want to get home, especially with several hours of travel and the traffic potentially getting bad. But we did get off for a minute, and I looked around here at the desert and just thought it was really cool to see, and just one of those instances where you wouldn't really be here for any other reason, but it's nice to slow down and stop for just a second and look around. We saw a brand new Corvette C8 on this trailer. I think it was brand new and being shipped to the owner with this little transport truck. Thought that was pretty cool to see. Very classic Americana. And same here with the Shelby American. We decided to go ahead and stop in Vegas, and there was a 67 GT500 here. And my wife hadn't been to the Shelby Museum yet, and so I took her in there with all the kids and showed them around a little bit. But there's always something new in here. This one hasn't been here that I've seen yet. And there's a GT350 here, and I don't know if that one had been here before. There have been quite a few of them in here, but really nice display. The AC Cobra style cars, and like a gold color one and a polished one. And this says Little Red on it, GT500 CSS, but I'm not sure if this is the actual Little Red, because the other one said experimental or something on it like the Green Hornet does. But I thought this was Little Red. If you know what it is, put it in the comments. It might just be a replica, but it was a GT500 there. And this is the Green Hornet. Supposedly they're together, but see how it says EXP 500 for experimental? I'm pretty sure this is the Green Hornet, unless it's a replica, but this was there too. And there's a GT500 next to it. And here's a bunch of GT500s and some Super Snakes. I knew a guy who had one of these that has the big, huge badge on the side. Look at the size of that monster. Has like the Las Vegas Motor Speedway thing and 427 written on it and all sorts of stuff. Here's another one. The red one said Super Snake, and this silver one says KR for King of the Road, GT500 KR. So really cool to see some of these. This is a Shelby 1000, if you've heard of those. They're supposed to be 1,000 horsepower, and just nice to see a whole bunch of variety here. This is a Thunderbirds edition GT500 Super Snake, and it has the F-16 theme like the Thunderbirds have. Last time I went, they had a Blue Angels one, so I don't know why Shelby does that, or I know the other one they were raffling off. I didn't see if they were raffling this one off or not. But anyway, a very interesting looking car here with all the stripes and things on it. I'm sure it's a one-of-one car. But of course, this is one of those things just like the train museum where you could stay here all day and you could see so much detail and look at each car individually, and there's a lot you're going to miss. So that's another reason I'm glad I took some footage of all this. But every time I've gone, I've seen a lot of these where they were actually for sale and they were just replica kit cars, and you put your own drivetrain in them. But outside was this Super Snake, very nice looking car, the Hope Edition, and you can see it's one of the Super Snake editions, so they changed a lot of things on these. You give them a GT500, they do this. So I don't know if this was a raffle car or a charity fundraiser car or not. I didn't really see anything about it, but you can see the hood's been changed, and this is the new package. And I think they're doing like 60 Super Snakes every year, so you can get one of 60. And that's just something I've seen recently, but it was all pink and everything, so that was pretty interesting, and that was just sitting outside when we got there. But after all this, I finally got home, and I had to take my Cobra for a drive, especially after thinking of it this whole time of going to get the car, and the whole trip reminded me of my red Terminator, so I just had to go take it out for a drive. So my brother and I went for a nice drive in the Cobra, and I met up with him, and I let him drive it for me for a minute so I could see what it was like and listen to it. So we went for a night drive. We went to a parking garage and Ford dealer. It's always fun to go to the Ford dealer and see what they have. This is a supercharged 3,000 mile GT350, and here's another 3,000 mile GT350. So nice cars to look at. Always fun to go hang out and do stuff like this. But anyway, it was nice to be back, and I had a good little trip, and so just wanted to share that with everybody and say that it was really fun. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of this stuff and some of the footage and the Mustangs and stuff. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for more Mustang content.